Alberta. Ride another day. Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. On September 3rd, 2013, the Tour of Alberta was the first pro cycling stage race ever to be held in the province. Kicking off in Edmonton, the tour wound its way through a host of enthusiastic Alberta communities, culminating in a thrilling finale in downtown Calgary on September 8th.
Well, having the prologue stage last year was a lot of fun. It was really intense. People could see bicycles and some of the world's best athletes ripping through our city at phenomenal speed, cornering at 45 degrees. And so people are going to be able to have that experience again, but it's going to be at the finishes of a couple of the different stages, especially the final stage, which is going to roar through downtown over and over again.
Last year was incredible. If you go back and see the television on the finish line, and you see those bikes going through downtown Calgary, with buses and trains passing behind them as they were whipping through, amazing. The overhead shots of those bikes going over the Bow River, people got to see the real beauty and vibrancy of this place.
Well, I think you only have to reflect on last year's race to see the amount of publicity and the worldwide transmissions we had that were phenomenal. I mean, they may not understand some of the things that I've been exposed to in the last year after the event, but Europe was thrilled with it. And when we made the initial press announcement here that we're going forward, the first reviews we got were from China. China responded right away that we were in the press. It's worldwide, it's not just Alberta, but Alberta really got a bang out of it last year in that context.
I think that the viewership on TV blew everybody's expectations away. Just like in Red Deer, we had people tell us we could expect maybe 2,000 people out to see it. Some of the estimates that we had were between 8,000 and 10,000 out. Downtown on Ross Street, when I presented the award for the finish in the Red Deer stage, I could have dove out into the crowd and body surfed from 48th Avenue to 49th Avenue in downtown Red Deer. It was wall-to-wall people.
Last year in year one, a brand new event, doesn't matter what sport or what event it is, it takes some time to build. So we were in a situation last year where we were really explaining what the event was. I must have been asked every second day last year, can I participate in it? People now know that it is the best cyclists in the world, and the experts in the business of cycling tell us that from year one to year two, expect everything to double. And double meaning, our economic activity may double, our international visitors may double, our overall attendance may double. And because now we're not selling the sport, now people understand the sport and watch it catch on. And we believe after 5 years, the event will be, one of the strongest, biggest events in the whole country.
With a UCI sanctioning of 2.1, the Tour of Alberta is open only to teams on the World Tour, Pro Continental, and Continental Circuit, making it the highest level pro cycling stage race in Canada and one of just 7 UCI-ranked stage races in all of North America.
International bike racing is divided into various levels of races. The top level is the Tour de France, the Tour of Italy, the Tour of Spain. That's what they call World Tour races. The step below that is what we call HC. The step below that is 2.1, and that's where Tour of Alberta is, right? We're at the 2.1 level, 2 steps below the Tour de France. That's not too bad. The athletes that are coming to the Tour of Alberta are the best of the best. These are the best pro bike racers in the world.
This year at Tour of California, almost every team that was there was requesting an invitation for our event. And so that just goes to show you how this race is building in all areas.
A lot of the European pros, the top pros in the world, Tour de France winners, they're coming here not just to prepare for the World Tour races that are also in Quebec and Canada, but they're here for a result. This is not preparation for something. This is a big deal race, and it's going to be televised in countries all over the world.
One of North America's top-ranked squads, Garmin Sharp is a team filled with great young talent, including American sprinter Tyler Farrar, a stage winner in all 3 Grand Tours of Italy, France, and Spain, and Tom Jelte-Slechter, King of the Mountains jersey winner at last year's Tour of Alberta. Garmin Sharp has earned 15 victories this season, and they'll be looking to defend their overall race title at this year's tour. Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better.
You should go to a reputable bike shop that can fit you and size you for a bike initially. You never want your knees to be crouched in your full extension. You want to have full extension with a slight bend in your knee. And then the right fit is an adjustment within that. So you can raise your seat height, move your handlebar slightly forward and back. You can shift your seat forward and back. When starting out bike riding, you do want to get into the most comfortable bike for your specific sport.
Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. With year 1 in the books, organizers began to look toward year 2. And with the weight of increased expectations upon them, they were ready to meet the challenge head on.
The success of last year was just something that we have grown on this year. We're looking at it being a much stronger community event. We're going to have a lot more events happening in downtown for kids and local groups and local artisans involved with. And so we're really trying to make it a social program.
Sometimes you go to a start and you go to a finish, and then a lot of the racing in between you might not be able to see. We're trying to really make it easy for fans to access the race and to experience it. What's going to happen is there's not going to be any part of that race that's going to be hard for a fan to go somewhere and to watch a lot of racing for the entire day.
If you stand in one spot, it's bang, it's gone in how long? That's why the circuit races are very important, because the crowds get the opportunity to see the riders a lot more than once. And that's why we have the big screens, because they can see the whole race.
You know, spectators are key to any public athletic event, for sure. What people have to understand is it's free. It's free for people to come out and they can watch it along the route at any place they want to watch it. Yeah, you probably will want to watch the finish line area because that's where the excitement is. You'll actually see a guy win, but there's no reason why you can't just come out to the side of the road and watch the guys go by as they race down the road. It's super important for the riders.
I think racing in front of the home crowd, for me, being able to roll through the circuits that are actually in the towns, it's gonna give me an extra boost for sure.
Anytime you get a chance to race this close to home and you get to see that extra support, and this, naturally it comes with more motivation too, so I'm really excited.
But all the planning in the world wouldn't amount to anything without complete buy-in from the cities, the province, and the dedicated volunteers who work so tirelessly to make it all happen.
The important piece with this event, in my opinion, is the benefits across a variety of stakeholders, across a variety of the community. And it's not just about one impact or one specific benefit. This is one of those events that crosses the threshold from economic impact into quality of life, into inspiring our youth, social, cultural, and economic benefit. And not every event can do that.
We always get a lot of great community engagement in these events. It's a great chance to showcase what beautiful scenery we have in this city. We have the river valley and the prairie landscape and great parks and just awesome scenery, and it's just a great opportunity to have our scenery shown globally and have the world see what we have to offer here in Lethbridge.
The legacies of these events are not only the reputation enhancement and the activation of your citizens who continue to volunteer for festival after festival, international sporting event after international sporting event, but increasingly an inspired group of young people and really people of all ages who want to engage in fitness themselves. So that's why we keep doing it, because it's absolutely in our interest from a wellness point of view, from a tourism point of view, and from a community engagement point of view.
I watched some of it on TV, and I saw magnificent vistas of the foothills and the Rocky Mountains and the prairie and those amazing scenes in downtown Calgary. And I know that those 41.5 million people around the world watching it were like, well, that is a beautiful place. I mean, that iconic shot that everyone has seen of the bikes going by and the horses along the side. I mean, how incredible is that? You can't buy that kind of publicity. And I know that that economic benefit is going to be huge for us in years to come.
A lot of people like to typecast Alberta, from my experience, my travels. They see it as, a single, an oil and gas town, but we have a lot going on. There's a really cool culture, arts scene as well, so it'll be very nice to see Alberta exposed to the world, and I'm pretty excited to do my best to represent it.
And what about the race itself? Would organizers select the same communities? Or were they looking to shake things up a bit in year number 2? This year's Tour of Alberta kicks off September 2nd with a 4-kilometer time trial, or prologue, through Calgary's Canada Olympic Park.
I'm thrilled that we're doing the prologue in Calgary this year, and people will get to see the race just as it's starting off at Winsports Canada Olympic Park with the breathtaking views of the city and the mountains. It's going to be something.
We encourage people to come out and see the event, experience the festival, which is free, lots of live music and food and family activity, culminating with a very exciting sporting event.
It's a race against the clock and the other riders, with the winner of today's time trial taking an early hold on the leader's jersey and first place.
This is an opportunity for those recreational enthusiasts, people that are passionate about cycling, are intrigued by cycling, to see it firsthand. And you can't duplicate that on TV.
Last year is the first time I'd ever seen an elite bicycle race live, and it's cool. They are going so fast.
Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. Stage 2 of the Tour of Alberta will showcase some of the great sights and sounds of central Alberta.
I think the success of Red Deer last year is one of the leading edges that really pushed this year. It's the support that we've had from the communities has been phenomenal this year.
After 2 circuits around breathtaking Sylvan Lake, riders will race towards the returning host community of Red Deer, where 3 tough circuits and a short, steep climb will surely see some riders break away from the pack.
This is an opportunity where we can show the world what Red Deer, what Innisfil, what Central Alberta, and what all of Alberta has to offer. It's a festival. It's a lot more than a bike race. People keep talking about the Tour of Alberta as a professional bike race. Tour of Alberta is a professional festival that just happens to have a bike race component to it.
Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. After wowing audiences around the world with the inaugural Tour of Alberta, the Year 2 route was set to be mapped. And after the success of Year 1, organizers found themselves faced with a very good problem, as a wide range of freshman communities wanted to get in on the action.
Hosting a stage in southern Alberta I think is really important, not just for the city, but for the region to be a part of. This is the Tour of Alberta.
It's great that we're doing it again. I'm thrilled that we're doing the prologue in Calgary this year, and people will get to see the race just as it's starting off at Winsports Canada Olympic Park with the breathtaking views of the city and the mountains. It's going to be something.
It's mostly going to be run by volunteers in a small town like this. Between our volunteers, our service groups, and the schools, we hope to put on a good starting event for the tour.
So there's local economic impact, but the value of being on TV across Canada and around the world, again, that helps change perceptions about Alberta. Those skyline shots are amazing, and so it is hard to quantify the impact of that, but there's no doubt that that's going to capture people's imagination, and next time they're thinking about maybe taking a cycling vacation, whether it's from elsewhere in Canada or from somewhere on another continent where they value cycling and they watch it religiously as a sport, then maybe they'll think about coming to Alberta.
Since the race last year, I've had calls from as far away as Australia who had seen it on TV going. I've been contacted several times from a fellow in Nebraska that is hoping to come up to actually volunteer at the Red Deer stage, and he's in the agricultural business. And so it's a great fit. So this is more than just a bike race. This is an opportunity where we can show the world what Red Deer, what Innisfil, what Central Alberta, and what all of Alberta has to offer.
So the tour finds itself flush with enthusiastic communities, elated spectators, and massive international TV audiences. And after just 1 year, the cyclists seem to have already fallen in love with the dynamics and intricacies of the Alberta routes.
I didn't expect coming to the Tour of Alberta to have so many crosswinds. I thought we'd be more in the foresty sort of protected areas, and then going out training today we really noticed it, that if the wind does quite pick up, there is those open exposed areas which will make for some interesting racing.
I think it's going to build a bit of nervous racing because you're going to constantly have to be alert, because at any point there's times when we're going the same direction for like 60 kilometers and it could be crosswind the whole way.
With the right conditions, we could see some big splits, and there's not a lot of turns. Anyone who knows Alberta roads, they go straight and they go long, so we could see a lot of damage from some crosswinds.
For U.S. riders, especially like Brad Huff, even for myself, I've always done better at circuit race. Finales of races, most of the big wins I've ever had has always been coming into, after a long race, coming into a circuit and being able to read the course and know the course and kind of really use a little more tactics on how you want to play out the finish, instead of sometimes when you come into, just one last corner, you don't know where the last corner is and come out of the corner and it's a finish. This time will give us time to really set a plan out and be able to execute.
Yeah, it's kind of course that you have to be on from start to finish, and you have to really nail that hill. Come in with a good head of speed and make sure you don't go over too fast at the bottom, and so you have enough to make it all the way home, or else you'd be flying up the first half and dying the whole way home to the finish line. It all comes down to motivation. If you really want to make a great race, you need to have a lot of motivation, because there's no reason you need to do this. First week of September, people have been racing already 80 some days of the year, and away from their home for 200 days. So it's a lot of motivation, and most of us are from North America, and we got Ryder here with our team flying the flag. So the Wade Nation has to represent,
With 10 victories already on this year's World Circuit, Italy's top pro team, Cannondale Pro Cycling, returns to Canada for the 2014 Tour of Alberta. Home to one of the world's top sprinters, 3-time Tour of Alberta stage winner Peter Sagan. Cannondale Pro Cycling's formidable team also includes Italy's Damiano Caruso, who finished 3rd overall at last year's Tour of Alberta. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. This year's closing day will be a fight to the finish, as cyclists will race an 11-lap circuit course through Edmonton's stunning River Valley.
There's not going to be any part of that race that's going to be hard for a fan to go somewhere and to watch a lot of racing for the entire day. It's really a race built for the fans.
There are these urban pockets, large and small, but especially these great activity centers in Edmonton and Calgary, which are both thriving cities with great food scenes and great, arts and culture scenes. There's a lot to do here in between stages of your own personal tour of Alberta.
Featuring great sightlines for spectators along the entire course, fans should be treated to a wild Stage 5 finish.
I've already seen the one event we had last year inspire a group of people who hadn't been serious about cycling before to go out, buy new bikes. It's a wonderful legacy of these events to have people inspired to get out and get active.
Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. After a wildly successful launch in 2013, the Tour of Alberta is ready to hit the ground running with a wild, unpredictable, and exhilarating year 2. And while the second year of any event can always be a big challenge, with so many dedicated and passionate people working behind the scenes, there's no doubt that the Tour of Alberta will be a part of the provincial sports landscape for years to come.
Cycling is a unique sport, much like golf, where a regular fan or a recreational enthusiast in the sport can follow in the footsteps of these global superstars and elite athletes. Anyone with a bike and an ability to ride can challenge this course or any course on the stage of the Tour of Alberta. And we know that there's a growing appetite for information on what it takes to do this right, what it takes to have the perseverance and the physical exertion and the tactics and the strategy to attack the course. This is an opportunity for those recreational enthusiasts, people that are passionate about cycling, are intrigued by cycling, to see it firsthand. And you can't duplicate that on TV.
We have so much to offer in this community, and I think this race is going to be a great way to show what we have and showcase our community, not just internationally, but provincially as well. Don't sit at home, don't watch it on TV, come on down, come support the event, come support the festival. It's going to be a fantastic experience, a great community event, and we encourage everyone to come down and enjoy it.
Well, I think seeing a professional bike race live is nowhere near the experience that you can get on TV. It's I go into work at 5 o'clock in the morning so I can watch the Tour de France in July when it's on. So I can see it live on TV, but to be there right in person, to feel the wind as 120 cyclists go by you and understand how fast they're actually going is something that you have to experience firsthand. It's a festival, it's a lot more than a bike race. People keep talking about the Tour of Alberta as a professional bike race. Tour of Alberta is a professional festival that just happens to have a bike race component to it.
You gotta at least see one stage live. I was shocked when I saw what it was really like. Certainly they go by fast, you don't get to see very much of them, but imagining that a human being's body is moving that quickly without any propulsion of any kind, any artificial propulsion, I mean, it's incredible. And the thing that really struck me was the silence. People were cheering, and they would all catch their breath as the peloton went by, and it was just quiet, and you just heard whoosh, as they were going by. It's really an experience. People have to see it at least once.
It's a great way for parents to introduce their kids to the sport of cycling. And a sport that promotes health and wellness and living an active lifestyle. And we think that's important. Sometimes it's more than just about the sport, more than just about the economic benefit, but it's also about a sport and an activity that is good for our youth and good for the next generation. And we think it impacts quality of life as well.
The sport's come a long way just in the time that I've been involved in Canada, and now to see a race like this coming up and all the good events that we have in Canada now, it's becoming a place to race a bike, which is pretty neat, you know, and giving the opportunity for the next generation of young people to kind of see the Canadian athletes at home. It's going to be huge for the sport in the future, I think.
The basic premise for a newbie, if you're going to be doing a lot of cycling, is you want to not just push down on your strokes, you want to use the whole pedal stroke to generate energy. When you're pedaling, you want to make sure that you're moving. It's not a static sport. You don't want to just hold on and ride. You want to lift up, get off your seat, sit down, move forward, move backwards. It actually gives muscle groups a bit of a rest so that they can be effective when you need them later on in the ride.
Brought to you by Alberta's chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better.